Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer, trying to scratch out a living on the Kona coast of the Big Island. Scratching is difficult these days. If you're watching the Thursday show on November 4th, we're about to go through that next week for you in the sky mirror. And notable is on Thursday the 4th, we had a new moon opposing Uranus. And that's the theme of this show after I finish the sky mirror. I'm going to get back to Ben Franklin and the enormous pressure and prejudice against astrology and other sciences, so to speak. If you think about what's happened with science, all these people that know global warming, blah, blah, and the blacking out of the word astrology altogether. Oh, boy. And the unions, oh, no more of those, oh, no. So Uranus has taken a beating, basically, from Neptune, but there's a lot more to it. It's gone further than that. There's been a lot of brainwashing. I spent most of my life trying to get rid of the notion that anybody who wasn't up to my standards of driving a car and using a TV was a primitive, especially if they were out in the bush or the forest or all these primitive people were so lucky to have us white folks full of Baptist religion and stuff come in and civilize them. Geez, go back and look what happened to Hawaiians and to American Indians and to everybody in Peru and in Mexico, and oh boy, here comes a white man. Well, it was sneaky. They carried nasty, nasty diseases you couldn't see. Neptune, smoke and mirrors. So anyway, I want to discuss that a little bit. But first for you, I want to get into the sky mirror and go through it kind of day by day. Just to tickle you a little bit, Ben Franklin and my chart are very, very similar. We do similar things all our lives. And Ben was very careful about religion. He had to buy a pew in every church in Philadelphia. But he didn't know where Neptune was or Uranus. He didn't know where those planets were or what those planets were about. So these astrologers up till that time, basically in the West, had no idea about these two enormous planets I'm getting into. And we're gonna look at Uranus a little more here. First, the sky mirror, huh? Let's see what's happening for you in your world and the pattern of planets, and let's see what it's going to be like kind of day by day. Now this is the small stuff. We're not going to discuss the fact that Uranus is having such trouble. Look at the number of people that are out of electricity and out of homes in California from fires, and in the southeast from hurricanes and floods. In Puerto Rico, we got an enormous number of people already that don't have Uranus. Uranus got taken away. So I'm trying to get ahead a little bit on the shows because this is going to hit me hard. That lunation, huh? Wow. It's tough on me. Anyway, the moon went by Uranus on Thursday and kind of set it off a bit. And we had a new moon at 26 Libra that a couple of weeks ago that really made it difficult. So here we go. We still have an opposition to Uranus. This time it's from Venus, where you're starting. Venus is opposing Uranus. So the pretty girls, the young girls, the divas, the ingenues, they're in Libra too. Pretty girls in white lace are going to run into trouble with Uranus. Electricity, airplanes, telephones, cell phones, things that go electrical and motors, and there could be troubles with cars and buses and trains and helicopters and all those machines, huh? So, old boss once, when I was an early safety engineer, said, Frost, when you're messing with electricity, keep one hand in your pocket. That way the voltage goes down your leg and not in one arm and out the other, goes through your heart. Fibrillation. Anyway, we're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern. Uranus is trining Saturn. We have got some basic old traditions coming in to support Uranus. I mean, you only have to look at history to see that Uranus was, cherished by all the old societies. Primitive societies, you say? Oh, people with crazy religions and natives and same people as you. That's the first great lie. All those people, all those Indians, all those Hawaiians, some of them a lot more gifted than you are, like Hawaiians with long-term memory, people raised organically. So, tell me that the Egyptians, that was all superstitious nonsense, and the Mayans, and, what superstitious nonsense is the stuff they taught you in school, and you bought it, and you're the superior. Yeah, oh boy, this exceptionalism, isn't that what Trump calls it? We're the exceptions. Okay, well, enough of that. I'll try to stay out of politics. Let's get back to your sky mirror. Moon goes around the edge once a month, makes angles to all of these planets. The angles are kind of simple, Here's the angles, and here's the symbols they use. If you look at the symbols, they reflect what angles they are. These are multiples of 30. Here's 30. Here's 0 degrees, a conjunction. See, one circle, they're both together. An opposition, here they're opposing, 180 degrees. A square, okay, 90 degrees, yeah, easy. Trines, yeah, 180 degrees around the circle. Sextiles, 60 degrees. Each symbol looks like your old geometry thing, huh? So as the moon goes around the edge of our planetary pattern, it makes these angles to various bodies, and that gives you the mood of the times. It kind of sets off these other players on the stage. That's why I say Thursday in the middle of the day, you might be having power outages. And I guarantee you one thing, there's going to be irritating noises and clangings and telephones, and the computer thing will get worse. There's no peace here. A lot of Uranus stuff is giving up. I'm trying to get ahead because I know this point here for me is crucial. It squares my sun. I'll feel like giving up here on November 4th. Nobody's listening to me, oh my God. At least Ben, his Poor Richard's Almanac sold, and he got 3 cents a piece for him or something, and he knew people were out there listening. He was encouraged somewhat. So, I need encouragement here, folks. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Let's get to your world. Thursday, we got quakiness, we got twirliness. Here's some tornadoes, here's some quakes. Difficult time, upsets. Power goes out for various kinds of reasons. It might be because they're trying to... Anyway, power outages and sudden changes is the theme for Thursday, November 4th. On Friday, the moon goes in to Taurus, and it changes. Every 2.5 days, we get a different zodiac sign, and it kind of changes the flavor. But here, Friday, just before lunch and around lunchtime, is opposition to Jupiter. People want too much. Why the lawyers charge so much? Why too much? Too much. That's what Jupiter does. Here Friday night after dinner, there's a sextile to Neptune. Smoke and mirrors is fine. I believe in my religion and in patriotism and all the things I was taught in school. My God, your astrologer in the late 40s, early 50s, stood up every morning by my desk and pledged allegiance to the flag. I remember very distinctly when they put the phrase "under God" into the Pledge of Allegiance, and we all had to do that. That was difficult because we had learned this by rote, and now we'd insert "under God" in the thing. Excuse me, I'm very cynical about Neptune now, but you'll feel good about Neptune. I mean, he must do some good things here. After all, he's liquids. Could be water, he could be booze. Discovery Saturday morning, the moon trines Pluto from Taurus, and out comes Sherlock Holmes and Discovery, and you'll find out some new things. And it all didn't start 5,000 years ago. Go back 12,000 years. Tune in Graham Hancock. Before that, when I studied humanity, I can't see any reason why this present race is 50,000 years old or more. It could be 500,000, 1,000,000 years old, our species. Upshot is, lots of discovery Saturday morning, very earthy stuff in Taurus. So I hope you hang out and do your homework, so to speak, Saturday morning. Sunday, the moon's in Gemini, and again, the vibes all change. It becomes more confusing. First there's, in the afternoon and around dinner time, here's a nice trine to Mars. Be a hero, get some stuff done, get physical, do something to protect. You got a few hours, because after you get into that trine to Mars, oops, here's a square to Neptune. Confusion, delusion, no, don't pick the color, watch out for the liquids. Neptune is on a rampage here. He'll confuse you, he'll just, he'll hide things. He'll get you drunk and expect you to drive. Look out. Bad Neptune. Sunday night. Monday, the vibes continue. What did I do last night? Sunday? Ooh. Finally, you get to about dinner time. Here's the opposition to Saturn. Whoop, is that a ticket in my car? The judge going to get me? I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. It's dinner time around Monday, the November 8th. Tough time. But a couple hours later, here's a sextile to Uranus. In comes Quetzalcoatl. Here's common sense. Here's the higher mind. Here's science. Yeah, it's not Neptune stuff. You don't have to believe it. You prove it. Remember in science classes, you did experiments and lab work, and you proved out the things they were telling you. Not like religion. No. So this is good stuff. And it's being suppressed, these forces of Neptune in our culture. I can't believe they don't understand global warming. I just can't believe there are that many people in the USA that are that brainwashed. Tuesday morning, you'll feel lazy. Here's a nice trine to Venus, really early, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. The moon's in Cancer, feels a lot better, more pleasure, more sex, more loving. A lot of truth and wisdom comes out between breakfast and lunch. Here's a trine to Jupiter, and Jupiter's in Scorpio. Nice water sign stuff. A mixed bag around dinner time and in the early evening, because the moon squares Mars. There's impatience and angriness, but it's trining Neptune. If your higher heart is allowed to come out, that's Neptune. And compassion, ask yourself what you're protecting Tuesday night before you go off and hurt yourself or somebody. Wednesday, well, the moon opposes Pluto. There might be sirens. There's a sense of panic. But the fathers are out. Yeah, first is the panickiness early Wednesday morning. Ugh. Alarm clocks. And then very close on that, there's purpose. The sun. What would my father do? And you're off and running, and you can fix a lot of stuff through Wednesday. On Thursday, the moon goes into Leo. And November 9th starts with a bad square to Venus. And, she's having some trouble there. It was actually 26. There's the square to Uranus. So there's the interruptions. There's the power blackouts. There's different things that go around, motors, electricity, machines, and Venus is caught up in it still, see? And here's the power blackout, and Venus is in trouble Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Thursday morning in Leo, you're kind of stuck with it. Hard to get anything done. It's a fixed fire sign. So once you're in this sense of I'm having no fun and there's no sugar, you're kind of stuck with it through a lot of Thursday. On Friday, people start helping, and they feel nurtured. Here just before lunch, the moon goes by the North Node. Kind of nice. But Trouble is, it's not coupled with real purpose. It goes by the North Node, that little horseshoe here, probably before lunch, around lunchtime. And then a few hours later, here's a square to the sun. Plans aren't working out. I feel frustrated. Fathers aren't helping. Men aren't helping. Take a pause. Take a break. Because here's a nice trine to Saturn, Friday night late, 10, 11 o'clock or more. And suddenly things coalesce. And they start to get into a pattern. And you can understand them all. And you can manage it all. There's time. There's money. We can get a minimum done. There's a trine to Uranus at the same time, just shortly afterwards. So here's organization and technical support. It's Friday night. It'll go through a lot of Saturday when the moon's in Virgo. And then on the 11-11, don't know what that is. But Sunday, the 12th, moon's in Virgo still, changed into Virgo on Saturday at breakfast time. And it got more earthy and practical, But here's the opposition to Neptune. Here's problems with water, confusion, delusion. Did I believe all of that? Yes. Well, everybody did. The whole class stood up, pledged allegiance every morning like happy little fascists. I can't believe. Then we hid under our desk from the atom bombs. Boy, what an upbringing I had. Yes. Geez, I look back on it all and I wonder how I got through it. We all did, huh? Discovery, Sunday afternoon. Here's a trine to Pluto. And kick back, watch the Discovery Channel, the internet discovery kind of stuff. Sunday papers, new things are coming out. You mean the Hawaiian? There's a bird friend out there. The bird friend says, discover the fact the Hawaiian crow, the Hawaiian raven, was a house pet and not a wild bird. Put a moratorium on putting them out in the wild. Find better places for them. Call up the bird people and your politicians and say, no more releases of our valuable bird, the most valuable bird in the world, the Hawaiian crow, the Hawaiian raven, smartest bird in the world. Pluto bird, yeah. We gotta help them. So I hope you'll learn more about that. Wednesday nights, 5:30 on Channel 53. You'll see my half-hour specials on the Raven and the Goose. So there it is. Whoops, here's a little square to Saturn on Monday morning, the 13th. Real early, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. But it's a slow morning. You might leave for work early on November 13th. And that's kind of the way it is on this first week of November 2017. Okay, let me go over my notes. Primitives, natives discuss superstition. They told you these were all superstitious things. No, all those so-called gods were just the planets in astrology. They were always astrology. Notes on the back here. Got to accent the positive. Jupiter reports. Oh, yeah. Look, folks, I really enjoy doing Jupiter reports because I don't have to agonize over how to give you some bad news from Saturn. I get just to do the fun stuff. There's nothing like being a messenger if you're bringing fun news. So, half price through December and January next year. You can call me at 322-3584, or even better, use the email, rollinfrost@yahoo. Even better, go to the website, skymirrorastrology.com/TV, and you'll get all the prices. They're all half price now. Just you got to ask for the Jupiter report, though. If you don't just go for the positive, accent the positive, and I got to do all the stuff, you go back to normal prices. Even then, you better get me while I'm still working, because a lot of the stuff in my chart says that that 2018 may be my last year of doing this stuff. By the way, I got a treat for you. I got an old video when I first got, so to speak, possessed by Ben. First of all, I discovered this book and it's a coffee table book, you know, and with Norman Rockwell. But what it did is these buggers took out all of the technical things, and they admitted in the beginning of the thing, yeah, meteorological and astronomical. Astronomical, here we go again. It should have been astrological. Ben was an astrologer. That material has been omitted. They didn't want anybody to know he was an astrologer, huh? So I went ahead and I kept doing it. Ben Franklin was an astrologer, and everybody, oh, I can't hardly believe that. And I didn't, you know, but I went ahead with it anyway. The spirit of Ben was upon me. And then this came along in May, and holy cow, I finally got some agreement. Here's some people in the Magi Society, and they had a pretty fancy website. And look at that. There they've got the squares and trines and patterns. And these guys are, whoever's doing this, I'm impressed. But most of all, 1776, Ben Franklin was America's greatest astrologer. Ben said there was just a few left. And here, to select the date to sign the declaration. Well, you know, when you look at the chart of it, you can see Ben's hand in it. At any rate, I got this book came to me free with all its beautiful illustrations by Norman Rockwell, and just the wise sayings, but enough wise sayings to prove out that Ben was a very excellent astrologer. Yes, and what happened was I got into it. You could say I got possessed by the spirit of Ben, you know, and next thing I knew, well, let me just show you. This is a 2-minute opener. My old shows had a lot of music and a lot of stuff on them. I had more time, and I was out to entertain a bit. And Ben Franklin always entertained. So let me see if I can hook this up right. Here is 2 minutes of me as Ben Franklin quoting what he had to say about the feeling that astrology was not being honored. Shame to the age we live in, said Ben. Check this out.
Benjamin Franklin wrote in Poor Richard's Almanac, 1751, "Astrology is one of the most ancient sciences, held in high esteem of old by the wise and great. Formerly no prince would make war or peace, nor any general fight a battle. In short, no important affair was undertaken without first consulting an astrologer, who examined the aspects and configurations of the heavenly bodies and marked the lucky hour." Now the noble art is dwindled into contempt. Shame to the age we live in. The great neglect us. Empires make leagues and parliaments laws without advising with us, and scarce any other use is made of our learned labors than to find the best time of cutting corns or gelding pigs. This mischief we owe in great measure to ourselves. The ignorant herd of mankind, had they not been encouraged to it by some of us, would never have dared to deprecate our sacred dictates. But Urania has been betrayed by her own sons, those whom she had favored with the greatest skill in her divine art. The most eminent astronomers among the moderns, the Newtons, Haleys, and Whistons, have wantonly condemned her and abused her, contrary to the light of their own consciences. Of these, only the last named, Whiston, has lived to repent.
Ben Franklin. Check this out. Here's Mars and Venus and the moon, Jove. You know, Ben used astrology and the public understood it back in 1733. And now here in 2017, finally one other astrologer has lined up and agreed with me. Well, he got the idea. I want to serve you and show you what real astrology is like, but I'm tired. I want to do Jupiter charts. Here it is. Here's the address, my website, Rollin Frost at Yahoo. Go to skymareastrology.com/TV. Instructions on how to get a chart. Pay half price, order the Jupiter report. Then I can just have fun doing your chart. That's what it's really about for me. I need that. I need to lower my blood pressure, etc. And so that's my answer is I just want to do Jupiter charts for a while. And these may be the last charts that I do in my whole career. So, yes, maybe you ought to get a little work done. Even with Jupiter charts, I spend 20, 30 minutes looking at natal chart and turn you on to who you're like in this incarnation. So, and finally, okay, don't forget the Raven. 5:30, Channel 53 on the Big Island. If you go to my website, you'll find a few of the Raven Hawaiian Crow programs there on the blog side. Give you an idea what's going on. I wish some Hawaiians would come and help. I mean, if they keep, quote, releasing, throwing them out into the wild, the ugly forest, they're going to decimate the last of the gene pool, trying to go along with a bad law. Well, it's a good law, it's just poorly applied here. Anyway, check out the Raven stuff. So if you want to do one thing for Hawaiian birds and for Hawaiians and for all of us here in the islands, get behind this. Call the Keauhou Bird Sanctuary, in the volcano, and say, look, enough releases, moratorium. We can figure a better way. We can figure a better way to do this, folks. And so the birds will survive.